I stood there on the cracked sidewalk outside the Greyhound station in downtown Chicago, the wind whipping through my thin jacket like icy fingers. It was supposed to be a quick drop-off, my folks said, with that familiar smirk on their faces. Figure it out, kiddo, Dad had chuckled, tossing my backpack at my feet before peeling out in the old minivan. Mom waved from the passenger seat, her laughter echoing as they disappeared into the traffic. I was 16, and, at first, I thought it was just another one of their lessons. They'd done stuff like this before, faking a family trip and leaving me behind at the mall, or pretending to forget me at school events. But hours ticked by, the sun dipping low, turning the sky a bruised purple, and no one came back. My phone buzzed once with a text from Mom. Bet you wish she'd listen better now. Huh. Then nothing. Radio silence. The realization hit me like a freight train. This wasn't a prank. They weren't coming. My chest tightened, a sob catching in my throat, but I swallowed it down. People rushed past, dragging suitcases, yelling into phones, oblivious to the girl frozen in place, her world crumbling. That night, as the station lights flickered on, casting long shadows across the pavement, I felt something inside me shatter. Trust. Hope. Whatever you call that fragile thing kids hold on to, it was gone. If my own parents could do this, toss me aside like yesterday's trash, then the world was a colder place than I'd ever imagined. I huddled against the wall, knees to my chest, staring at the buses pulling in and out, carrying people to homes I no longer had. Survival wasn't a choice anymore. It was the only path left. The betrayal burned deeper than the chill seeping into my bones. I replayed the morning in my head, searching for signs I'd missed. Breakfast had been tense, Dad griping about my attitude, Mom rolling her eyes at my pleas for a ride to school. You're old enough to handle yourself, she'd snapped, shoving me toward the door. They drove me to the station instead, claiming it was a shortcut. Lies. All of it. As the night deepened, the crowd thinned, leaving me with the echoes of announcements and the distant rumble of engines. A security guard eyed me suspiciously but kept walking. No one stopped. No one cared. My stomach growled, empty since lunch, but hunger was nothing compared to the ache in my heart. I thought about calling someone, a friend, a teacher, but who? My parents had isolated me so well, always moving us around, always controlling who I talked to. Family first, they'd say. But what family? By midnight, the station locked up, forcing me out into the street. Rain started. Light at first, then pouring, soaking me through. I ducked under an awning, shivering, my mind racing. What now? Sleep on the sidewalk? Beg? The thought made bile rise in my throat. Then he appeared, a guy in his 20s. Hoodie pulled low, offering a cigarette with a grin that didn't reach his eyes. Rough night, he asked, stepping too close. His breath reeked of beer. I mumbled something about waiting for a bus, but he pressed. I got a place nearby. Warm bed. Food. Alarm bells screamed in my head. I backed away, heart pounding, until he shrugged and vanished into the shadows. That encounter left me paranoid, jumping at every noise. I ended up in an alley, curled behind a dumpster, using my backpack as a pillow. Sleep came in fits, haunted by dreams of my parents' laughter. Morning brought no relief, just more rain, more hunger, more isolation. Days blurred into a nightmare of scavenging. I learned the rhythms of the city fast, which fast food joints tossed edible scraps at closing, which fountains had clean water, which corners to avoid after dark. My clothes stank, my hair matted, but I kept moving, invisible in the bustle of Chicago streets. At home, or what used to be, I imagined them going about their lives. maybe joking over dinner about how I'd learn responsibility. The thought fueled a quiet rage, simmering beneath the fear. I avoided cops, terrified they'd drag me back to that house of horrors. Better the streets than more lessons. On the fourth day, exhaustion nearly broke me. I collapsed in a park, tears finally spilling over. That's when she found me, Evelyn, a woman in her 50s with a face etched by hard years, pushing a shopping cart filled with cans and blankets. Her eyes, though weary, held a spark of compassion. "You look like you've been through hell, child," she said, her voice gravelly from too many smokes. I flinched, expecting a trick, but she just sat down, offering a granola bar from her cart.
No strings.
No questions at first. She shared her story in bits. Runaway at my age. Abusive home. Decades bouncing between shelters and streets. "World chews you up if you let it," she muttered. But there was no bitterness. Just quiet wisdom. For the first time, I felt seen, not judged. Evelyn showed me the ropes, safe spots to crash. Soup kitchens that didn't ask for ID. How to panhandle without drawing heat. We stuck together. Her cart, our mobile home. Nights under bridges. She'd hum old tunes, lulling me to sleep. In her, I glimpsed what a real guardian could be. Tough love without the cruelty. But the streets don't let kindness linger. One evening, as we shared a scavenged meal in an abandoned lot, Evelyn started coughing deep, hacking fits that shook her frail frame. "Just a cold," she waved off. But her skin was clammy. Her breaths labored. I begged her to see a doctor, but she refused. "They'll lock me up, poke and prod till there's nothing left." Pride or fear? I couldn't tell. By dawn, she was burning up, delirious, whispering about lost loves and regrets. I held her hand, helpless, as her eyes fluttered shut. Paramedics came too late. She was gone before they loaded her into the ambulance. Sitting there alone, the lot spinning around me, grief crashed over like a wave. Evelyn had been my anchor, the first person to show me mercy since the abandonment. And just like that, she was ripped away. The loss hardened something in me, turning sorrow into steel. If even this fragile bond could snap, what was the point of letting anyone in? I buried her memory deep, vowing to rely on no one. The streets taught me that lesson over and over. Trust was a luxury I couldn't afford. I moved on, colder, more calculated, determined to claw my way out of this hell. The Greyhound station faded into memory as I pushed deeper into Chicago's underbelly. My steps deliberate, my eyes scanning every shadow. Survival meant shedding the old me, the naive girl who waited for rescue. I called myself Alex now, short for Alexandra, a name plucked from a discarded newspaper. It felt right, strong, untraceable. No more pleading glances. I walked with purpose. Even when my legs screamed from exhaustion. I scavenged better now, timing dumpster dives behind diners for fresh discards. A half-eaten burger here, day-old bread there, it kept me going. But food wasn't enough. I needed money. A way up. My first job was collecting cans, hauling them to recycling centers for pennies. Backbreaking, humiliating, but it put coins in my pocket. I saved every cent, hiding it in socks stuffed into my backpack. Paranoia became my ally, sleeping in shifts, always alert. The city was a jungle, gangs prowling alleys, addicts desperate for a fix, creeps eyeing lone girls. I dodged them all, learning to blend into crowds, to disappear when needed. Nights were the worst, the silence amplifying doubts. Why me? What had I done to deserve this? But questions led nowhere. Action did. I found a community center with free showers, faking confidence to slip in unnoticed.
Clean.
I looked less like a runaway, more like any teen. That opened doors, odd jobs like sweeping storefronts or walking dogs for harried office workers. Cash under the table. No questions. Each dollar was a step toward escape. But the past clung like grime. Flashbacks hit without warning. Mom's mocking smile. Dad's dismissive wave. Rage bubbled, fueling my grind. I enrolled in a free GED program at a library, using Alex as my name. The librarian, Mrs. Patel, noticed my focus. "You're sharp," she said one day, sliding extra books my way. I hesitated. Trust was still a trap, but her kindness echoed Evelyn's. So, I accepted. Studying became my obsession: math, history, science, worlds of logic where betrayal didn't exist. I aced practice tests, burying pain in pages. Passing the GED felt like rebirth, a certificate proving I wasn't broken. With it, doors cracked open. I landed a gig bussing tables at a dingy diner. Graveyard shift. The owner, a gruff Italian named Gino, barked orders but paid fair. "Don't steal. Don't slack," he grunted. I didn't. Tips added up. Enough for a locker at a gym, secure storage, hot showers. Luxury. But loneliness gnawed. I watched families through windows, laughing over meals. And envy twisted my gut. Why couldn't that be me? The answer was always the same: because people I abandon.
Destroy.
I built walls higher. Friendships superficial. A coworker,
Mia.
tried bonding over coffee breaks. "You seem guarded," she noted. I shrugged it off. Guards kept me safe. Ambition sparked during those long nights. Wiping tables, I overheard suits talking stocks. Deals.
Power.
It clicked. Money was armor. I saved for community college, enrolling in business classes. Professors praised my drive. Classmates whispered about the intense girl. I didn't care. Numbers spoke truth: profit, loss,
Control.
An internship at a small firm followed, crunching data for minimum wage. I excelled, spotting errors others missed. Promotion came quick: junior analyst. By 20, I had a tiny apartment, cramped, roach-infested, but mine. No more streets. Pride swelled, mixed with bitterness. My parents? I imagined them complacent, unchanged. The thought ignited a fire. I'd surpass them, make them pay. I networked ruthlessly, attending free seminars, charming mentors without revealing my scars. One, Mr. Harlan, a retired exec, saw potential. "You've got fire.
Kid.
Use it." He introduced me to investments, stocks, real estate.
I dove in.
Starting small with savings. Wins piled up, a flip stock here, a rental share there. Wealth grew, slowly but surely. By 25, I quit the firm, launching my own consulting gig.
Client trickled.
Then flooded, small businesses needing financial wizardry. I built a reputation. Sharp, unrelenting. The girl from the bus stop? Buried deep. Alex was a force now. Untouchable.
Yet.
Nightmares persisted. Evelyn's cough. The station's chill, they haunted me. Success dulled the edges. But isolation echoed. Dates?
Rare.
Superficial. No one got close enough to hurt. I channeled energy into empire building. Buying properties. Diversifying portfolios. Millions accumulated. A fortress of security. One day, scanning market reports, a familiar address jumped out: a foreclosure in my old suburb. My childhood home. Heart racing. I dug deeper, parents in debt, drowning in loans from bad investments, medical bills, dad's job loss, mom's denial. It all crumbled. Schadenfreude whispered, but strategy prevailed. I acquired the mortgage anonymously, through layers of LLCs. Ownership transferred seamlessly. They had no clue. Revenge simmered, not destruction, but revelation. I'd confront them, show what their joke created. The drive back felt surreal. Suburbs blurring into painful memories. Parking outside. I straightened my suit, tailored, expensive. Knocking. I faced ghosts. Dad. Grayer. Freilier, Mom. Lines etched deep. Recognition dawned. Horror following. Alex. Is that you? Mom whispered. I nodded. Stepping in. The house reeked of stagnation, same faded wallpaper, same musty air. I placed the documents on the table. This is mine now. You have a week to vacate. Their faces crumpled like paper in a fist. Dad stammered.
What? How?
Mom reached out, trembling. We thought you'd come home. It was just to toughen you up. Toughen me? The words ignited fury I'd buried for years. You left me to rot, I said. Voice ice cold. Flashbacks assaulted. The rain-soaked alley. Evelyn's dying gasp. They babbled excuses, hard times. Meant as a scare. Never intended permanence.
Lies.
I saw the truth in their eyes. Regret born of consequence. Not remorse. Please. We can pay, Dad begged. But numbers don't lie. They were bankrupt. Assets stripped. I felt a twisted calm. Power reversed. No negotiations, I replied, turning away.
Outside.
Air tasted sweeter. But as I drove off, doubt crept in. Was this victory or venom? Evelyn's voice echoed. Survive. Don't become them. I pushed it down. They deserve this. Eviction day dawned gray. I watched from afar as movers hauled boxes. Parents loading a U-Haul with bowed heads. Neighbors whispered, oblivious to the drama. When they drove away, I entered the empty house. Echoes lingered, childhood laughter twisted into tears. Lessons that scarred. I touched the banister. Memories flooding, birthdays mocked, achievements belittled. Why had they hated me so? Or was it indifference? Sitting on the bare floor, solitude pressed. Success had isolated me further. No family, no friends, just empire. Tears came unbidden. Not for them, but for lost innocence. The girl at the station deserved better. I sold the house weeks later. Profits donated anonymously to shelters. A cleanse, perhaps. But scars remained. Life post-confrontation shifted subtly. Business boomed, acquisitions, ventures, a name in finance circles. I spoke at conferences, my story sanitized, bootstrapped from nothing. Audiences applauded resilience, unaware of the abyss I'd crossed. Philanthropy followed, funding youth programs, homeless aid. Evelyn's legacy.
In a way.
Yet, personal voids gaped. A therapist suggested outreach, forgiveness for healing. I tried, tracking them to a rundown apartment. Anonymous checks sent, but pride made them return them. One letter slipped through. We're sorry. Can we talk? I stared at it. Heart warring. Meet? Reopen wounds? Days later. I drove there. They looked broken, Dad hunched. Mom frail. Coffee steamed untouched as they apologized. Tears flowing. We were wrong. Stupid. We lost you. Emotions churned. Anger. Pity. A flicker of longing. But trust? Shattered beyond repair. I survived, I said softly. That's enough. Leaving. Lightness bloomed. Not forgiveness, but release. The past no longer chained me. Years blurred. Empire expanded. Life stabilized. I mentored at-risk kids, sharing tools without my pain. One, a girl named Sarah, mirrored my youth abandoned,
Fierce.
guiding her mended fractures in me. At 35, reflecting in my penthouse, Chicago twinkling below, I pondered paths. Betrayal birthed strength, but at what cost? Loneliness lingered. A quiet companion. Had revenge healed or hollowed? The question haunted, unanswered. The sale of the house marked a turning point, but not the clean break I'd hoped for. Money from the deal poured into my accounts. Another notch in my belt of successes. But it tasted bittersweet. I threw myself into work with renewed vigor, acquiring a chain of small properties in up-and-coming neighborhoods, flipping them for profit. My team grew, analysts, assistants, all kept at arm's length. Alex is a machine, they'd whisper, admiring yet wary. I encouraged it. Vulnerability was a weakness I'd long ago excised. But nights alone in my sleek condo, glass walls overlooking the lake, doubts crept in like fog off the water. Was this life? Or just existence? Evelyn's face flashed in dreams, her cough echoing, reminding me of lost humanity. I started volunteering at the same community center where I'd studied, teaching financial literacy to teens. Their eyes, wide, hopeful, mirrored my younger self. One boy,
Jamal.
confided in me about his chaotic home. They don't care, he muttered. I nodded, sharing just enough. I get it. But you can build your own path. Mentoring filled a void, but stirred old pains. Sarah came later, a 17-year-old runaway with fire in her veins. She reminded me so much of myself, defiant,
Scarred.
I took her under my wing, helping with GED prep, job apps. Why help me? She asked once. Because someone helped me once, I replied, thinking of Evelyn. Sarah thrived, landing a scholarship. Her hug at graduation cracked my armor, a rare warmth. But the past wasn't done. A private investigator's report landed on my desk. Parents in Florida, scraping by on odd jobs. Dad's health failing. Mom isolated. Guilt nagged. Had I pushed them too far? Therapy sessions followed. A neutral office where I unpacked layers. Revenge is a double-edged sword, the doctor said. It empowers, but isolates. I resisted at first, but truths emerged. Abandonment bred my distrust. Success my shield. Outreach felt risky, but I sent aid, anonymously at first. Groceries, bills paid. Then the letter, handwritten.
Shaky.
We know it's you.
Thank you.
We're sorry. Emotions stormed rage.
Sorrow.
A reluctant pity. I debated, then drove south. The apartment was dingy, humidity thick. They opened the door. Aged beyond years. Alex. Mom breathed. Tears instant. Dad nodded from his chair. Oxygen tank humming. We talked for hours, halting.
Raw.
Their side. Regrets. Therapy attempts. Realizing too late their jokes were abuse. We were broken people breaking you, Dad admitted. I listened, heart thawing slightly. No hugs. No instant forgiveness. But a crack in the wall. I can't forget, I said. But maybe I can move on. Driving back. Tears blurred the highway. Release. Not resolution. Business evolved. I founded a nonprofit for at-risk youth, channeling profits into scholarships. Housing. Sarah joined as coordinator. Her energy inspiring. At 32, I met David at a gala, kind, patient, a lawyer with his own scars. Dating was tentative. Trust built slowly. "You're worth the wait," he said. For the first time, I believed it. Life balanced, empire secure, connections tentative but real. Yet, questions lingered. Had betrayal defined me, or had I transcended it? The answer shifted with time. A quiet evolution. As years stacked like bricks in my ever-growing portfolio, the empire I'd built became a beacon in Chicago's financial scene. I diversified into tech startups, real estate developments that revitalized blighted areas. Headlines praised Alexandra Reed, from rags to riches. Interviews glossed over origins. I fed them a polished tale of grit, omitting the bus stop, the betrayal.
It protected me.
But also perpetuated isolation. David proposed after 2 years. A quiet dinner overlooking the city. "Yes," I whispered. Ring slipping on like a promise of normalcy. Wedding small. Intimate, Sarah as maid of honor. Mentors attending. Parents? Invited. But declined. Too much shame, their note read. It stung. But I understood. Honeymoon in Europe. First real vacation. David coaxed stories out.
Piece by piece.
"You're incredible," he murmured. Trust bloomed. Fragile but real. Back home. Pregnancy surprised us. Twins, boy and girl. Panic hit. Could I parent without repeating cycles? Therapy intensified. Books devoured. Birth was joyous. Tiny faces erasing doubts. Naming them Evelyn and Harlan. Honors to saviors. Parenting became my greatest challenge. Nurturing without lessons. Love unconditional. Watching them play.
Lauter pure.
Healed fractures. "I won't let the world break you," I vowed silently. But echoes persisted. A call from Florida. Dad passed. Heart failure. Mom alone. I flew down. Arranged funeral. Standing graveside. Rain mirroring tears. Mom clutched my hand. He regretted everything. We talked deep into nights, her childhood abuse explaining, not excusing, their actions. "Break the chain," she urged. I nodded, inviting her north. She moved into a guest house on our property. Tentative reconciliation. Boundaries firm. But moments of grace emerged, her reading to grandkids. Smiles genuine. Forgiveness?
Slow.
Earned. Business thrived. Nonprofit expanded nationwide. Sarah took lead. I stepped back for family. At 40, reflecting on a balcony. City lights below. I pondered the journey. Abandonment forged steel. But love tempered it. Had revenge been necessary? Or just a detour? The question hung. A moral whisper. The twins grew fast. Their curiosity a mirror to my lost youth. Teaching them resilience, without pain became my mantra. Mistakes are okay, I'd say. Hugging after spills. David supported. Our home a sanctuary. Mom integrated slowly, baking cookies, sharing sanitized stories. Her presence tested me, but seeing her bond with kids softened edges. One evening, she confessed fully. We were cowards, using humor to mask our failures. Tears shared. A bridge built. Not perfect, but progress. Empire legacy. I sold major holdings, funding endowments for youth programs. Retirement loomed. Focus on family travels. Volunteering. Sarah's wedding. I walked her down aisle, proud surrogate mom. Life's tapestry wove betrayal into triumph, loss into love. Yet, in quiet moments, the bus stop lingered, a haunting reminder. What if they'd come back? Alternate paths untaken. The moral quandary. Does survival justify hardness? Or does softness in victory redeem? As I watched sunsets with David, grandkids on horizon, peace settled. The girl abandoned survived. The woman thrived. But the cost? Eternal reflection.